Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Russ Reed, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Center for Biotechnology Workforce. And we have a special program today. We call our program SciTech, and SciTech is broadcast through recordings that we make with our great technician, Trevor Tufano. Trevor, how are you today?
Hi, Russ. I'm doing good.
Good. I hope you had a good summer, Trevor.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good summer for me.
Excellent. Well, Trevor, we're on the road here. We're down in Winston-Salem proper, and we're at a company called Eurofins. And I'm delighted. I'm joined by Chelcie, Nikki, and Cynthia. And I'm just going to have them introduce themselves.
All right.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm the Director of Operations. And my name is Chelcie. I'm the Photobiology Manager.
And I'm Cynthia. I'm the Clinical Services Manager.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. And SciTech is something that we do at the school, and we've been doing it now for about a dozen years. And it's just probably slightly over version number 100.
Wow.
So this, Trevor, this results from a site visit that Eurofins did with us over at the National Center, and they visited our lab space and they visited offices. So this is a really exciting session we're going to do today because it's on testing of skin products. And so I think what we'll do is we'll just start it off. I think Nikki's going to open it. Nikki, tell us about Eurofins.
So the Eurofins was, as our site, used to be known as Sun Care Research Laboratories. It was initially started by a father and son out of Memphis, and then moved to Winston-Salem and started up a sunscreen testing facility. There's not very many sunscreen testing labs within the U.S. or globally. We're looking at around 6 within the country, and then just within Eurofins itself, there's at least 6. So that doesn't include others that are not within the Eurofins network. So back in 2015, Sun Care Research Laboratories was sold to CRL Research Labs, which then was bought out by Eurofins. So we became acquired to this global network of research laboratories. So anything from agriculture to medical to fabrics to any type of toys testing. There's cosmetic testing, pharma testing, anything that you could think of that could be clinically tested, Eurofins has a lab for it.
Well, that's pretty comprehensive.
Yes.
So what exactly does the company do here at Winston?
So initially, when we were Sun Care Research Laboratories and CRL Sun Care, we were just focused on photobiology SPF work. And as we have become part of Eurofins and the reach for different clients and sponsors have found us, we have expanded the needs of this site. So we are now not just photobiology SPF work, but also into the clinical testing. So we go from regular everyday SPF wear to water resistance to additional claim support for SPF, all the way to what we call an RAPT, which is repeat insult patch testing, which is a type of test that allows our CRCs, which are clinical research coordinators, thank you, to be able to do dermal evaluations on how the product is on the skin. The secondary to that is a PTPA, which is a phototox photoallergy test, which is done in the SPS photobiology lab, which is then introducing the next steps of wearing that product out into everyday life and how does it respond. Then down to skin exfoliating and skin turnover studies to see if a product that is an exfoliator of any type actually works based on a control site. On all the way down to the studies that our panelists actually love the most, which are the easiest, and they come and pick up the product and they take it home, they use it, and we can have either a dermal evaluation to determine if there's any response under the skin, or just how did they like it?
So Trevor, I mean, do you get the sense of what's going on here at Eurofins in
Yeah,
Winston?
definitely. Mm-hmm.
And did you use your sunscreen this summer?
Yeah, I actually did. Took a beach trip earlier back in July, and yes, I did make sure to use sunscreen because I'm a very fair-skinned person. So, yeah.
So when you went in the water, did you reapply or did you just stay with your sunscreen that you put on before you went in the water?
I don't think I reapplied it after I went in the water. Yeah. Are some sunscreens waterproof, or do they still, regardless, they encourage you to put it on a second after you like apply it?
So most of the sunscreens that claim to be water resistant, they either have a claim for 40 or 80 minutes. So it is encouraged and recommended to reapply after that time frame.
And they cannot be labeled as waterproof, only water resistant. Because when you see the claim waterproof, then you think that you don't need to reapply it.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, I'll definitely keep that in mind the next time I have to put it on.
Yeah, so always reapply and let it dry for 15 minutes before you get back in the water.
Okay, definitely.
So that's one aspect, Trevor, but another aspect of it doesn't work.
Yes, so that's where it comes into our department. So photobiology specifically used to, as Nikki said, focus on SPF. So we're looking for the sun protection factor, or how much protection is in the product. So we have products that are not on the shelves that are sent to us from clients all over the world, which are not limited to just sunscreens. It could be a chapstick, lipstick, foundation, anything on the market that you see has an SPF label. It has to go through a company like ours in order to get that claim. So we can test products all sorts, as I stated. One of our testing capabilities, which we already touched on, is water resistance. So we actually have 4 standard Uzi tubs here at our lab. We apply the products to the subject and they are submerged into the water. And then we have UV solar simulators that act as the sun. We then dose the subject after they have gotten out of the water to see if the product works. If you've been in the pool all day and then you get in the sun, will the product work? Another part of that is in vitro testing as well. In vitro testing is kind of the same thing that we do on the subjects that come in and participate, except the testing is done on a PMMA substrate plate. So we usually do in vitro testing as preliminary to see if the product is working, so we don't harm the subject if the product is not performing as the client had hoped.
So Trevor, there's a lot of science behind what Eurofins does and its testing. And, I'm grateful that, I don't know about you, but I'm grateful that, our products that we buy generally off the shelf and so forth are tested. It's nice to know that they work. And so let me ask the question, is there a big difference between, let's say, I don't know, a 15 and a 50?
Yes. We do a lot of range finding in that aspect. So say a client has not done any testing and they are saying this product works as an SPF 50, we are kind of doing a screening panel, preliminary data to see if the product works. But really the difference between the two would just be the formulation or the consistency of the product, or what kind of product are usually chapsticks, lipsticks, or the lower SPFs. For FDA, for instance, 50 is the highest you can label. So if your product works as an SPF 100, you can still only label as a 50 plus. So there isn't really a difference in the product itself, just what kind of outcome you're trying to get when using the product.
Right.
And the outcome is how much protection do you have within a certain amount of time. So it's saying if it takes, how much energy does it take until you start to show a burn? And that's the level of SPF protection.
Well, SPF is a marvelous invention. And I got to tell you, as somebody who has, like Trevor, has very fair skin. I've had my fair share of skin burns, and I've consequently, in my older age, I've suffered some, minor lesions because of it. So I'm grateful for the work you guys do. Tell me about the skill sets that you would like to have, for a person that might want to work
So a lot of our staff come from all different backgrounds. We have some people who were in home health care. We may have some who were previously nurses, who have worked in other clinical research labs. We're just looking for somebody who probably has a science background. That would be the one that's probably most interested in what we do. But what we do here specifically cannot be taught in a class. All of our training is done in-house. Of course, you can learn the main basics of clinical research testing, but until you actually start and do hands-on training, what we do is quite different from other labs for sure. We obviously follow the same guidelines and good clinical practice, things of that nature, but what we specifically do here is a little different than other labs.
And the skill sets that Chelcie has in her lab is a little bit different than the requirements for the skill sets that CC would need in the clinic, because a lot of her studies are dermal. You have to have a lot of really good eyesight and be able to make determinations that way. CC, did you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, so our skin evaluations are definitely a little different. While we're not looking for sunburn for SPF testing, we're looking at things such as erythema, that's the darkening or reddening of the skin. We're looking for dryness, flakiness of the skin, and also edema, which is swelling of the skin. So we have a different grading scale, from 1 to 5, saying, let's say barely perceptible to possibly severe. So we're looking at the skin a little bit differently, in a different way for our safety testing for clinical studies versus SPF studies.
So Cece, on that, let's get back to the skills. What's your background?
Yes, so I've been with the company for over 3 years, and I actually started in the SPF department. So I do have some SPF background, and then we expanded to our clinical services. So the skill sets in the clinical services department is a little bit different. My technicians, they do evaluations, like I said. They're also preparing the product or preparing the paperwork and all study documents and that kind of thing. So it does vary a little bit, but having the SPF background has helped a lot.
Very good. I would imagine, we think things like attention to detail
Absolutely.
Would be a shared skill.
Absolutely, 100%. If it doesn't happen in the moment, it didn't happen. We can't rely on our memory for scores, for documentation, or anything like that. So attention to detail.
serves to me as well, good documentation practices.
Absolutely. Right. Number one, if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen.
Right. And what about teamwork?
So especially, for both of our labs, it's pertinent. You have to be a good team, worker. But also there's several things that also need to be done alone. So we're always looking for somebody that can be part of the team and, engage and be helpful, but also be able to work independently when needed as well. But most of our testing is done as a group. It's different pieces of the puzzle and need to be put together by different people.
And it isn't just the communication and teamwork between their departments. We also have a recruitment department that is responsible for filling all of their studies with adequately qualified participants. So the departments seem to be able to communicate with recruitment to be able to make sure that their studies are filled. And if there's any issues, then they can be remedied on the front end before they get to the lab.
And I would think, just if Trevor and I came in and joined a study, Trevor, maybe you want to join a study.
But if we were to join a study, I would imagine too that the people that you hire have to be pretty good with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our subjects are obviously our number one concern. Their safety, of course, as well as we cannot operate without them. So we want them to continue to come in and test with us, tell their family and friends about us, and we want to give them the best experience that they can have. We understand that sometimes clinical research can be a little scary, but what we do here is nothing to be worried about. It is all just topical skin products, no injections, no pills or anything like that. So we're just always looking for people, and it's our main concern to make sure that everybody has a lovely time when they're here.
Very nice. So Trevor, I'm thinking, of all the products and services that could come through Eurofins. Um, and I'm on the older side of life, right? So I have to be very careful that I don't get too much exposure to the sun. So I'm definitely an SPF 30 type person.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be at 50. I don't know. And at the same time, I will give you an example. If an SPF product gets into my eyes, I have a reaction, and it's violent. It's a terrible reaction. I have to get off the side of the road and park and wipe my eyes out and so forth and so on. So I think, if I understand correctly, and I appreciate getting it, there could be companies who formulate differently. They have an SPF blocker in there, but they could a different formulation. So some might be more prone to cause milder reactions or reactions than others.
Absolutely. And a lot of times before the product gets to actually SPF, it's gone through analytical testing to make sure that everything is sound in that aspect. But of course, even if one product has perhaps tea tree oil in it in a chapstick, and the subject did not tell us that, and we apply it to them, there could be a reaction of that nature, but nothing to be worried about or nothing that we couldn't handle when it was to happen. But there is always that risk, of course, when you're testing products that are not on the shelves, that you may have a reaction, and that's kind of what we're testing as well.
Yeah. So I'd be a good study subject, Trevor. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us, tell our students or our community with respect to Eurofins and its work, especially here at Winston-Salem?
Quickly, I'll add, like I stated earlier, it's a big joy of ours to take pride in what we do. We are testing the products for safety and efficacy for our families and wars. We want to make sure that everyone wears appropriate sunblock, no matter their age, skin type, skin tone. Everybody needs to wear sunblock. So we are so happy to be able to help the advancement of that. And also, like I said, our community is why we're still here, why we're still open. We need new subjects to come in every day to come in and do our testing. For me specifically on the photobiology, it can be 1 to 4 days, and you can make up to $300. So depending on what test type it is and what you qualify for, we're always happy to take new subjects. I did want to add that we do have to have subjects that are in good general health. So you have to be between ages of 18 to 75, no diabetes, high cholesterol, anything like that. But we do want to make sure that we're testing the products on the healthiest of people to make sure that we're giving accurate results.
Here again. So Trevor, as our students see this, some of our students that are most of our students are 18 unless they're in early college. But we have a lot of people potentially who might want to drop by Eurofins and see whether or not they could be a study subject.
Yeah, definitely.
And if they don't have time to do a photobiology study, then they can always have time to do a study with Cynthia. They're a lot quicker and they can make just as much on their compensation.
And all of the paperwork that you need to fill out to see if you qualify, you're able to do it online, and then we can set you up for an appointment to come in to visually evaluate your skin.
And we are looking to expand our staffing at the start of next year. So the best thing is that if you are interested in seeing what we do, and if you would be interested in looking for a position here, then the best thing to do is do a study with us. Do a couple of them with us. That way, do one over in the clinic and then do one over in photo. That way you get to know the staff, you get to know the testing that we do, and that way you actually get an experience of, oh, this is what CRL is about.
Okay. Trevor, you have any questions?
Not that I can think about at the moment. This is great information, definitely, and very interesting kind of learning about the process of how like a lot of these FPF products like get approved and get on the shelf. So it's definitely very interesting learning about all those different processes and kind of what you do at Eurofins as a part of that.
And let me ask as a final question, would you be open to people doing internships?
Of course.
Very good. That's really good information for us, Trevor, back at the call. I want to thank Chelcie, Nikki, and Cynthia today for joining us from Eurofins. I want to thank Jenny Schwartz for setting this up with us. And Trevor, I want to thank you. It's good to see you again. Hope you had a great summer. And so we're going to leave the information for Eurofins in this video. And I hope that students and faculty and staff like this video. Thanks very much, Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.